I'm wondering, aside from parallel lives, is it possible to have simultaneous physical realities in the same time frame or time-space point?
This is what is called counterparts that we were discussing a few moments ago, yes.
Okay, and how many of those can you have? Is there a limit?
It depends
or?
upon how you are arranging yourself and what themes you are exploring.
Okay. I was under the understanding that you can't actually, I mean,
Let me put it
technically.
to you this way. You can do the math, all right?
Okay.
Of the approximately 7 billion people on your planet as physical individuals, there are only about 350,000 to 400,000 oversouls.
Okay.
So do the math.
Right. Right.
That's an average. It fluctuates a bit, but that's an average.
Okay. And I was under the understanding that if you had a counterpart, that you wouldn't actually ever meet them.
It depends. Sometimes you might not. It depends upon the themes you're exploring and how it would serve you to meet or not meet them. And sometimes you may run into a counterpart and fall in love with them, and sometimes you may hate their guts.
Okay.
Now, I'm being a little euphemistic because I certainly don't promote that idea. But nevertheless, knowing how you humans operate, you may simply find that you don't prefer some of your own counterparts. And that vibration may simply be for the purpose of keeping you apart. You understand?
Yes. Okay. Do I have any counterparts?
Yes.
How many? 5. And they're all still living at this time?
That's why I gave you that answer.
That 5.
If they were not still living, they wouldn't be counterparts.
I feel like I experienced one of them passing in the last year.
Sometimes that happens. As you
Was-
say, ships in the night.
Okay. So that is in fact what that,
Yes.
okay.
Sometimes you will sense it, sometimes you will not.
Okay.
Does that help you?
That does help me. Thank you.
Why, thank you.
I have one more question.
Oh, all right.
For most of my life, I have had vivid dreams,
Yes.
many of them with different types of UFOs.
Oh, all
and
right.
I find that the transitioning back
Yes.
is very difficult to physically awake.
Oh, all right.
And I'm,
That's because your physical reality is so much more dense.
yeah.
And
Okay.
therefore, you are attempting to insert yourself and lower your vibration again to match that physical dense reality. So it can feel a little thick, yes.
Okay.
Can be like trying to push through molasses, yes.
Is there a way that I could continue to have these adventures and vivid memories of my dreams
Of course.
while still waking up feeling
Yes.
not so exhausted?
It requires that you allow yourself a higher degree of lucidity in the dream. Because once you allow a higher degree of lucidity in the dream, you can recognize that you can allow a higher degree of lucidity in physical life. And that can allow you to, shall we say, control the vibration of the physical reality in a way to make it more compatible with your reinsertion. Does that
Okay.
help you?
Yes.
Let us explain very clearly that this is actually what our civilization has done. As we have said, when the soul decides to have an incarnation, and I'm speaking euphemistically here, symbolically in a sense, but there's some reality to it, vibrationally speaking, energetically speaking, the idea of the soul is that it splits itself into the higher mind and the physical mind. And those two together in balance, in harmony, form the whole person that will have the experience of that incarnation. The higher mind remaining non-physical to guide the physical mind in that sense, like someone standing on the mountaintop so that it can give a broad view perspective to the physical mind down in the valley so it won't fall into so many holes because it can't really see where it's going. In between the two is what we call the template level reality, the actual place where the soul and the higher mind create the blueprint, lay out the blueprint for the themes you will explore, literally construct, in a sense, the physical reality blueprint of what will manifest in your physical life. When you go into a dream state, you're going, in a sense, to the template level reality. And if you are lucid in it and understand that you're awake in the dream, then you can actually use the template level blueprint to rearrange and reorganize the physical reality that you reinsert yourself back into. So the more lucidly you are in that state, the more lucid, in a sense, you can make your physical reality, or at least more in alignment with the lucidity you're having in the dream state. And again, this is what our civilization has done, because once we allowed ourselves to understand how to become truly lucid in the dream state, we never went back. We simply, from there, altered the physical reality blueprint to become more aligned with that state of dream lucidity, and therefore we are always asleep and always awake, and that's why we never sleep. We live in the dream, and that is our reality. It's totally lucid. Does that make sense to you?
That's fantastic.
So the more you can gain lucidity in your dream by whatever variety of permission slips and techniques may be available to you on your planet, of which there are many, the more you'll be able to create physical reality, since physical reality is also just a dream, to become more lucid and match the vibration of the dream lucidity and create less and less and less difference between the two until they, in a sense, become one reality. Does that help you?
That does help me.
Pleasant dream.
Thank you. And I have another question about the amount of UFOs that actually are in my dreams.
Yes.
Could you explain what's going on there?
Please understand that there are many comings and goings and many different dimensions in which different beings are traveling in a variety of ways. Most of this is simply invisible to you, but when you expand your senses, suddenly you realize that there's all this activity going on all the time. You suddenly realize that you have, for most of your life, actually been living under an airport. It's just that you haven't been able to see the planes. Mm-hmm. Now, as you expand your senses, you suddenly realize all the traffic that actually exists in the area that you're in. Mm-hmm. Understand?
Yes.
So it's not necessarily that there has been more activity, there's just more awareness on your part of the activity that's always been there.
Okay.
Does that help?
It does. Usually in the dreams, my initial reaction is excitement.
Yes.
And then when it comes...
Followed by what?
With fear. It
About
comes
what?
to me more directly after the initial viewing of it and the
Yes.
excitement. It comes to me directly,
Yes.
and then I completely freak out.
Because?
I
What
don't
are you afraid
know.
of?
I'm not sure.
Yes, you are. Can't lie to us. No fibbing allowed. Of course you are. It's very easy to find out what you are afraid of by giving in to the fear, by asking the question, by magnifying and amplifying it. If I gave in to this vibration, if I truly recognized this reality, if I allowed myself to truly become who I prefer to be, what am I afraid is the worst, most terrifying, most horrifying, fearful thing I am afraid might happen? And when you're willing to hear the answer, you'll know why you're afraid.
Okay.
But the idea is that whenever you find out what that fear is, it's not something that will ever be actually empirically true about you. It will only reveal a belief you have about yourself that can be changed. Because there is nothing to fear. The only thing, I guarantee you, the only thing you will ever discover in the unknown is more of you. Because you fill everything in your reality. Mm-hmm. It's just that there are parts of yourself you don't know yet, you haven't met yet. But you will discover them, and there's no need to fear them. Does that help?
Yes.
All right.
Am I a hybrid?
All of you are hybridized to one degree or another. That's what a human is. Remember, because there was an early, naturally evolved hominid on your planet that was genetically altered by extraterrestrial races to become Homo sapien, you're all hybridized. The branches of the original hominid that were not hybridized continue to evolve. You now know them today as Sasquatch. If you had never been hybridized, you would all be Sasquatch. That was the natural evolutionary form on Earth. And it continued to evolve right alongside of you. However, they evolved so closely with nature, so intuitively with nature, so in connection with nature, they can actually go from one dimension to another like walking through a door, and that's why they're hard to find. But that's the natural denizen, that's the original inhabitant of Earth. You, in a sense, are an alteration. You're a hybridization of that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I feel like the fear that comes over me in the dream is the connection that I have directly with these UFOs and these.
But why would that be something to fear?
Well, because I would have to face it and accept it and.
And why would that be
own it.
difficult?
I think it's.
I have a great connection,
Yes.
and I love it.
And I love listening to it.
Why don't you love being it or having it?
I don't know.
Yes, you do. You'll find out that you know when you are willing to ask the question. What am I afraid will happen if I acknowledge the connection?
I'm afraid of being seen that way.
By whom?
Others, the world. I don't know.
Who cares?
Well, right.
Who cares?
I agree.
The
to some
ones that would
extent.
see and understand it will understand it. The ones that would see and not understand it will never understand it. So what do you care?
Yes.
Why are you measuring yourself against others? You have absolutely no business comparing yourself to anyone else because you are absolutely unlike anyone else. All of you are. You actually have not only no business comparing yourself to anyone else, you actually have no capability of comparing yourself to anyone else because you're all unique.
Yes.
I understand you have some degree of similarity, but that's it. You're never going to be exactly like anyone else. So there is absolutely nothing anyone else could say that is in any way, shape, or form relevant to you except what you believe is relevant to you. And the only reason you would be afraid of what others think is because you know that all they're doing is reflecting what you already think of yourself. So if you don't prefer the things you think of yourself, change that. And when you change what you think of yourself, you will not give a whit what other people think of you. You can always use guidance to make sure that other people are reflecting things to you that you could use as information to keep yourself on track. I'm not saying you have to ignore everyone and not listen to them, because they may be saying things that are wisdom for you. But it's up to you to decide what's true for you and what's not. Totally. Make sense?
Absolutely.
So again, no matter what anyone says, when you allow yourself to be who you are, thank them for offering you a different perspective. It's just not a perspective that you feel like agreeing with today. But they are totally entitled to their perspective because you would never disallow or invalidate what they perceive to be true. Because if you invalidate them, why should they validate you?
Yes.
But again, the irony and the paradox is you don't need them to validate you. And by not needing them to validate you, you are capable of validating yourself and everyone else, no matter how different their perspective of you might be from your own. Do you see the paradox here?
Yes,
Do you see how to use the power of the paradox in this?
I do.
Does this help you?
Very much so.
Why, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there another person whose name?
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
I'd like to ask, we're all trying to figure out
You are all what?
We're all trying to
You
figure
are all what? We are selectively deaf to certain words. Trying is one of them.
We are working
You're either
on,
doing something or you're not.
we are working on
Yes?
figuring out what our reality is.
You are figuring out what your reality is
and
in your own way. You're not working on it. You're not trying to work on it. You're figuring it out in your own way.
and that's where I could use some help.
All right. What help would you like?
Well, I understand the concept of parallel reality.
Are you sure?
It's kind of a new concept for me.
All right, and you understand it just like that. Congratulations.
but I could use some additional help.
In what way?
I just stumbled into some information on the history of the human race,
Yes.
the starting from the beginning,
Yes.
how Earth was formed and what it was originally intended for, and I'm trying to discern, is that real reality or is that my reality?
All realities are real. The question is not, are the realities real? Anything you can imagine is somehow, in some way, shape, or form, a real experience because you can't imagine non-existence. It's not possible. So anything you can imagine has some relevance and some reality somewhere. The question isn't, is it real? The question is it relevant for you? And you are the one to decide whether it is or not. Because if you shift, as you do, all of you, billions of times per second from parallel reality to parallel reality to parallel reality, you are shifting from one version of Earth to another, 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 constantly in order to create the side effect you call space and time. So at any moment, you're actually on a different Earth with a different history. You decide by your vibration which version of Earth you will experience. So if one version doesn't seem to have a lot of relevance to you, one history doesn't seem to be relevant to you, then allow yourself to know that another version probably is more relevant to you. It's not that they're not all true, it's just that you are allowing yourself to experience whichever one is relevant for the themes you chose to explore. But all of them are true. Does that help? Or did that just confuse you even more?
Well, I could probably use some clarification. The information I have is that this is regarding the Anunnakis.
Yes.
And I mean, I don't choose to have that reality, but I'm experiencing.
Well, obviously, in some senses you do, or you wouldn't be where you are.
Okay, got it. I'll
All
figure
right.
that part out.
But you can choose your relationship to that idea in a way that only benefits you in positive ways, yes?
Yes.
So, then if you know that you can always choose a version that benefits you in positive ways, why worry about what other versions there may be if they have nothing to do with you?
I actually don't think there's any other version because I've only stumbled into one version.
There is no just one version. There are an infinite number of versions of everything you can imagine. You will gravitate to the one that is most in alignment with your particular chosen vibration based on your belief systems. Simple as that. That doesn't mean the other ones don't exist,
Okay.
but you only experience the one at any given moment that's relevant for you, and that's why it seems like there's only one. Remember, every belief system is structured to make it seem as if no other belief is possible. If that were not true, you wouldn't be able to have an experience in physical reality. Yes?
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes, it
All
does.
right. So
So I have a lot of sorting out to do.
well, all right. That sounds like fun.
I hope
It will
it
become
is.
clearer as you understand the concept.
Okay. I have a question regarding dreams.
Yes.
I don't have dreams.
Yes, you do.
I don't remember them.
All right.
Are they really necessary to remember?
No,
Okay. Great.
they are only necessary to have.
Why is that?
Because when you go into dream, because of your definitions of physical reality, making it seem as if you're disconnected from the spirit self, you go into the dream state to shut down the physical mind so you can reconnect consciously to the idea of your greater self and recharge yourself. And without that, without dreaming, you would actually go into psychotic shock because you're relying totally on the physical mind, which cannot exist on its own. It has to connect, it has to connect, it has to connect to the higher mind somehow in consciousness. And therefore, when you're not connecting consciously in your daily life, you will connect unconsciously in your dream state in order to maintain the balance of your total being. Because without the idea of making that connection, you are not functioning as a whole being. The physical mind by itself is literally a half-wit.
Is it necessarily to consciously remember your dreams? I mean, we've already hooked on
No, as I
unconscious-
just said, as long as you have an unconscious connection, that will suffice. Sometimes it might be necessary to remember certain things if it serves the theme you're exploring. but you don't necessarily have to remember them all.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yeah, yes, it does.
All right, well, pleasant dreams to you, if
I'm
you
sure
remember
will
them.
be. Yes. And then I also wanted to find out, there's a lot of people that are trying to connect with their past lives,
All lives exist simultaneously.
the lives that are called past lives.
I know what you meant.
How can you give us some tools on how to connect with these lives?
You're already connected. You're already receiving information and downloads from all the experiences of the ones that are relevant to the life you've chosen here. So it's not about how do I connect, it's how do you have more awareness that you're already connected. That's a big difference. When you understand you're already connected, that fact alone, if it actually is perceived by you as a fact, will or perhaps can make all the difference in your experience of those connections. Because if you know you're already connected and you take that for granted, then you don't have to try to connect. Trying to connect implies that you believe you're not connected. Knowing you're already connected gives you a head start, and thus then makes it easier for you to perceive the connections that are already there instead of believing you have to do something that you don't know how to do already. Big difference.
I guess my question would be then, how do I recognize that I'm already connected?
I just told you.
I'm
Do
sorry.
you understand that everything exists all at once?
Yes.
Do you? If you really understand the concept that everything is actually here and now, then the real question is, how can you not know that you're connected? If you don't know that you're connected, then you don't really understand that everything is one and here and now. Because with a true understanding of that, it automatically is understood that everything is connected. Why? Because everything is the same one thing from a different point of view. So if everything is the same one thing, how can it actually be disconnected? There is only one thing in existence. Only one. There's only one moment in existence. Only one. What you perceive as different moments are the same moment from a different point of view. So it's not even that you have separate things that are connected. There is only one thing. Therefore, connection is built in. Because every apparently different thing is just an appearance of difference. It doesn't actually different. It's just the appearance of difference. It's just the experience of difference. But mechanically speaking, there is only one thing. That's it.
Is there a way for me to, I guess, some tools where I could,
I just gave you a very powerful one.
I'm sorry, I'm missing it.
Yes, you are. There is no such thing as being actually separate. There is the illusion of separateness, the experience of separateness, but there is no such thing mechanically as actually being separate. There is only one thing in existence, and that's it. And you are that thing. And you are that thing. And you are that thing. You are all the same thing from a different point of view. It's just reflections, different looking reflections of the same thing seeing itself in all the ways that it can. So if you understand that what appears to be different people are actually the same being, how can it not be connected? There's only one being. What is there else to connect to? Nothing. Everything is within you. There is no outside. Is this making more sense?
Not really, but if I can,
Yes.
give an example.
By all means.
So let's say all of a sudden I'm by a swimming pool and I'm taking my first beginner swimming class,
Yes.
and all of a sudden I get really scared and I don't want to go in the water.
Yes.
I've never had any water experience, so I don't understand why I'm afraid. So would it be safe to say that that fear of water may be something that is from one of my other selves?
It might be, but it doesn't have to be. The fear of water may connect symbolically to some fear you have in your definitional system in this life too. Even if it's not literally a fear of water, the water may symbolically represent something you are afraid of. Many of you already know, psychologically speaking, that water is symbolically representative of emotion. So the idea may be that you have a fear within you or a fear of some emotion within you that the water simply symbolizes. And it could be many other things. You have to take it on a case-by-case basis.
Can you expand on your comment, water is symbolically representative of emotion?
Well, this is simply what comes up in your natural psychological experiences, in what you call your psychological information. The idea of emotion, energy in motion. Emotion is fluid. Thus it is symbolized with the idea of water, diving deep down into your emotionalities, like sinking under the surface of the sea or a pool. It's like allowing yourself to be immersed in the idea of your consciousness. And this has feeling components to it. And thus it has emotional components to it. It's like being immersed, like a child, in the amniotic fluid. And feeling the idea of the support and the unconditional love of the mother. Or feeling the fear of the mother. So it could even come from that. Going into a pool could be reminiscent of being in the amniotic fluid and feeling the fear of your own mother before you were born. It could be many things. You have to find out what it is for you by exploring your belief systems about why you have fear. And then the answer will come. The idea will come. It will show you. The synchronicity in your life will show you what the connection is. All right?
Okay,
But you have to be willing to explore that and not be afraid to explore it.
great, thank you.
You have to swim in that water. All right?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
It's about 12:26. If we want, we can have another 10 or 15 minutes if you want to continue, or if you'd rather break for lunch, Tadeo.
It is our perception that the majority of individuals in your chamber require sustenance. Thus then, you may take your lunch break. We will resume this transmission after your break. How's it going?
Very good. Thank you, Daryl.
You're welcome.
Good day.
Hello, Bashar. This is Shama from Italy.
All right. Good day.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
I am aware that during the night, during my sleep, I have a very rich dream life, and I do inner work, profound inner work. But in the morning, I'm not remembering those dreams. I want to know if the work that we do in sleep is it still valid and effective, even if it's forgotten by the morning?
Yes, and in many cases it is supposed to be forgotten by the morning because you've done the work. Move on. Follow your passion. Apply the energy. It's still there. The knowledge is there, but you have to move forward and act on things that are representative of your passion to see the result of the work that you are doing in dream time. It's not about remembering it, it's about applying it. And that application will make itself evident when you take action in the direction of your passion.
Thank you.
Yes.
I live in a community, and for me, it's a wonderful process of accelerating my spiritual evolution through the constant reflection that others are for me.
Yes.
We have many rituals, we have celebrations, equinoxes, solstices, Day of the Dead, etc. And I'm asking you, in a society, have you already gone beyond living in communities, or is it still a valid way to grow?
Understand again, like anything, it's a permission slip that works for you, so fine for you to use it. From our perspective, on our world, the entire planet is a community. Remember, we're all telepathically connected. We're never out of touch. Yes, there can be smaller units, smaller community units that may coalesce synchronistically for a certain purpose, such as our birthing villages that happen on certain regular timings, where many different births happen simultaneously, and then it is disbanded when those births occur. So the idea is that there are many different things that may allow members of our community to come together for a specific purpose and work together with common interests. But again, it's a fluid thing and a fluctuating thing. Not all of them last for any length of time necessarily. But again, the one that does last is the fact that the community is the planet. The planet is the community. Our entire society is one community.
And do you have rituals and celebration, or those things are obsolete?
We don't really have rituals per se. We do celebrate sometimes, but in a different way than you usually do. Nevertheless, again, remember, we are operating on pure synchronism. When people come together for the purpose of a celebration, it is automatic. And again, it lasts as long as it needs to and then disbands. But again, we don't really have rituals per se, although some individual members may choose to go through certain practices more than once, depending upon what it is they are attempting to do. But we don't consider them to be ritualistic in the same way that you do.
Thank you. One last question. We understand that most of, if not all of the ancient gods and goddesses that came to Earth were extraterrestrial, that came with their own agenda and were seen as God and goddesses by the earthlings of those times. Those ancient gods and goddesses, have they continued to relate to Earth and to be involved with Earth somehow, even though have been forgotten? And is it possible that they are even now preparing for contact with us again, of returning and reconnecting with us? And is it possible that the likes of Horus or Isis or Hathor and Quetzalcoatl are coming back to reconnect with Earthlings?
Some of them, yes. Many of them have moved on. Some of the energy has turned into archetypal versions of your collective consciousness, so you can still relate to them in whatever way you wish to, whether they come back physically or not. So there are many levels, interdimensional levels to this relationship, but some of them may return, some of them have moved on.
Thank you so much. I love you, Bashar.
Our unconditional love to you, Aveo.
Hello, Bashar. This is Carol from Hong Kong. I would like to ask about feeling guilty over someone or an animal's death because of the things that we did or we failed to do. Is there a way to ever overcome this kind of guilt? Because it really stops me from celebrating life and all the good memories that we used to have. Thank you. Bye-bye.
The question would be, did you do it intentionally? Did you learn anything from it? Will you do better next time? The animal already forgives you. So let it go and connect with the animal in spirit in a loving way. Get into the vibration of love and the connection that you may have with the animal, even after death. But if you've learned a lesson from it and will change your behavior to do things differently in your relationship with animals on the planet, then learn the lesson, apply the lesson, and move forward. Remaining in guilt allows you to only perpetuate the negativity that may have occurred in the relationship and doesn't allow you to move forward. The animal wants you to move forward, so by all means respect the animal's wishes for you by having gone on into the spirit level to lure you after it, to make that connection with you so that you can move on and move forward in a more loving way, in a more solid and harmonious relationship with all life on the planet.
Bashar, thank you so much for your work as a first contact specialist, first, let me say.
It is our passion and our pleasure.
Excellent. My first question is regarding the crystal vortex in Arkansas in the Ozark Mountain area. Can you expand a little bit on the Sasquatch connections in that area?
One moment. That particular vortex has a link interdimensionally, one of them anyway, to the place, the dimension that the Sasquatch often go to remove themselves from your reality. One moment. One moment. One moment. The Ozark area is particularly strong as an interdimensional connection to a few very specific kinds of alternate or parallel realities that the Sasquatch take advantage of to remove themselves from what you consider to be your typical reality. There are sort of a network of tunnels in space-time there that can be traversed by those who know how to do so. There are many comings and goings interdimensionally in that area. Sort of very much like a Swiss cheese vortex, so to speak. Does that help?
Yes, absolutely. Is there a particular hotspot where if I wanted to go and try to connect with them that I could maybe meditate in, or a particular Sasquatch name I could meditate on?
You could call Tsemiquest. Can you repeat that?
Tsemiquest.
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 Yes, Tsemiquest, sorry.
Yes, Tsemiquest.
Yes.
You can use your own instincts to pick the spot, but it should be a spot that is mountainous and forested. Do you have access to something like that?
Yes, yes.
So, do you have yourself a favorite spot that is mountainous and forested?
There are a few.
Do you have one that stands out?
Yes, Mount Nebo.
All right. Go and in a meditative state, allow yourself to open up to the vibration of Tsemiquest and see what happens.
Okay. Thank you.
You are welcome.
I have just a few more questions. I have a large birthmark on the outside of my right wrist that to me it resembles a spaceship. Is that just a mere coincidence, or is it there to remind me, or is it a symbol of certain ET connections that I have?
You have asked the question and answered it yourself.
Excellent. That's what I thought. It's just good to have that validation sometimes. Does somebody with amalgam or mercury fillings in their teeth, having that in the body, does that create disruptions in somebody's ability to be able to make other dimensional connections?
It depends upon your belief system.
Okay. You've said before that it's not time to reveal any further information about Rh negative blood type. So I was just curious if it was time for a little bit more.
No.
Okay, fair enough. One final question. So I've been experimenting a little bit with tones in the ears and vibrations on a vibration plate, and just trying to sort of sync those up for, let's say, if I do 40 hertz in the ears, I know that sort of helps with the neurological system. And the vibrating plate maybe is also vibrating at 40 hertz. Having those two together, does that amplify and accelerate the effects?
It can, and 40 hertz, remember, is the threshold, the first threshold level neurologically in the brain that represents the gamma frequency, which is the channeling frequency.
Okay, that was my last question. Ha'atu, Bashar.
And to you, good day, Aveo.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Cheryl. I'm from Toronto, and I would like to ask Bashar his insights on ableism and discrimination of the disabled. While society is going in the direction of inclusion of all minorities, the disabled are still left behind and in fact very rarely mentioned. If you could also address the hatred of disabled by many and society seeing them of no value. Many people get profoundly upset when they have to do something different for a disabled person. I see a future where everybody is included and nobody is other. Their differences will be celebrated and nurtured. But I feel and see disabled are still being left behind. And I'm having trouble with ableism, discrimination, and the outright hatred by some. Thank you. I have aphasia from stroke. I did pretty good. Thank you.
Well, first we would change the definition that many people are starting to use on your planet. Instead of disabled, differently abled. Many people will make choices from spirit to come through in a way and have an experience that creates them to be differently abled. Now, many people express the idea of hatred for this or discomfort from this because they are afraid, because it represents an idea to them of what might happen to them, and they do not wish to experience those things that they see other people experiencing. Other people who are strong enough and brave enough to limit themselves in certain ways for the purpose of finding other ways of doing things, other ways to move forward, creative, imaginative ways of being differently abled. This again expands the human experience and allows humans to see that there are many different ways to accomplish things and that no one needs to be afraid that it's going to happen to them. But even if it does, they still then will have made the choice and an agreement on a certain level to express to the rest of humanity that you have a great potential to do things beyond the normal, beyond the typical, and that sometimes being differently abled brings this out in force, makes it very obvious when people have the creativity and imagination to overcome what appears to be a disability and truly express it as a different ability, something to explore for all humanity. It is of great service to everyone if they will take it for the lesson that it is.
Hello, Bashar.
Good day to you.
Hi. I had a question about miracles on the website. There's a quote from you that said miracles are not the exception to the rule. They are the natural order of things. Could you give more of a definition or understanding of that, please?
Well, the idea is that in your society, typically, people look at what they call a miracle as being an unusual phenomenon, something unexpected, unusual, very rare. And it is a coming together of certain ideas, experiences, influences, appearances, objects, so on and so forth, that seem to be out of the norm, seem to be beyond what you consider your typical reality to be capable of producing. But the idea is that you're creating your reality every single moment anyway. You are creating miracles all the time just by having a physical reality experience all the time, constantly, as a continuous experience. So the idea is the same, shall we say, mechanism used to create any reality experience that you are having is the same mechanism used to create what you typically refer to as miracles. It's just that for some reason at that moment, synchronistically, your mind and consciousness is open to the fact that that is being created through alignment, through synchronicity, as a relevant experience that stands out because of the meaning you have infused in it and the reflection it provides for you in a certain direction. But if you start to understand that you're doing this all the time, start to see everything as synchronicity, then you will start to see physical reality as miraculous as it actually is every single moment. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. The Holy Spirit, the Catholics, I'm a Catholic, think of the Holy Spirit as kind of the voice between us and God. Is that what you would call the higher consciousness?
In a sense, yes, although the idea that you give to the concept of the Holy Spirit can also be spirit guides, can also be aspects of all that is. It can act as a conduit no matter what form it takes. It is generally representative of the conduit of connection and communication to all that is. But it can take many forms.
why is our society, why is guilt and shame so much a part of our society?
Because you have created a sense and an experience of disconnection from all that is. You have created a sense of disconnection from your self-worth and your self-empowerment. Therefore, what comes with that experience of disconnection, not that you're actually disconnected, because that's not possible, but what comes with the experience of disconnection is the shame that goes with the idea of not belonging, not being connected anymore, considering yourself to be less than and unworthy. And that is simply the side effects that happen from that negative state of being. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes. Are there any writings that are available that would better reflect the teachings of Jesus?
Yes, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much, Bashar. I appreciate it.
You are very welcome. Aveo.
Aveo.
What makes us special as human race compared to other members of Interstellar Alliance? Why did you decide to pick us specifically to be a member of the Interstellar Alliance? And at what point in our history and why was that decided?
You are our ancestors. We are literally genetically connected to you. We are family. The idea of the demarcation line was when the hybridization agenda began, about 6,000 years ago in your terms of understanding. So the idea is that we are connected. We are family. That's the difference. Specifically, the story involves humans and hybrids and the evolution of the human race.
So are most of the beings in the Interstellar Alliance humanoid in the sense of five? No.
No. The majority are not in any way, shape, or form. But there are those that are relations, that are cousins, that are similar in terms of their evolutionary path. But no, the vast majority have nothing to do with looking like a human.
So it would be like octopi and other creatures that have sentient intelligence beyond ours, or?
Yes, and some that you can't even imagine because there is absolutely no analogy or correlation to the beings on your planet.
So how did all of these beings come together, and what would you say is the level of consciousness of the beings that are part of this alliance?
Those that understand and act upon the idea of whole systems.
So can you give us an example of a species we're not aware of that would look nothing like a human?
Well, we've told you about several of them. We told you about the ones that exist almost like spheres that roll around on the inside of a bubble in liquid space. We told you about that. That's nothing like a human. Yes?
Yes.
We will go into different varieties of extraterrestrials that are non-human at another time in another transmission.
It almost seems like there's some sort of an organizing body that would then create the ability for all these different types of beings to be able to connect in.
As we have told you in the formula, the natural result of following it and understanding whole systems is the organizing principle of synchronicity. Therefore, synchronicity is the organizing mechanism that brings all of these beings together.
It's absolutely fascinating. So our little corner of the reality where we have humanoid types that we're interacting with, essentially, as our first contact experiences.
Yes. Will make it a smoother transition for many of you because it's something relatively familiar.
And is that by a grand plan, or is that something that the Alliance orchestrates for that very specific reason?
It is synchronicity and also amplified and magnified by the Alliance.
So something happens when all these consciousnesses join together and form this alliance?
Oh, yes. We'll go into that at another time as well.
Oh, that's pretty exciting. Okay, so
as you move more deeply into the idea of membership in the Alliance, there will be many things to explain and describe to you that will go beyond what you typically think of as interactions with extraterrestrial beings. We will give you a fuller picture of what it means to be a member of the Alliance. This will happen sometime in the window of open contact, which begins next year of your time in 2023.
At what age did you first learn about Earth? Was the Earth you encountered in our timeline or in your timeline? And these are multiple questions here. And do the Earths from different timelines actually message one another? And if so, how do they do it?
In your terms of understanding, I was about, well, somewhere between 5 and 7, because our year is not the same as your year, in which I was trained by my father as a contact specialist and began to be told about the idea of your timeline of Earth. There are other timelines of Earth, of course, that have hybridization agendas, and other versions, to put it linearly, of myself and others that interact with them. Communication between various Earths sometimes happen between or through the devices of first contact specialists that might be able and capable of projecting their consciousness into parallel realities, but some versions of Earth actually have the wherewithal, either biologically or technologically, of communicating with other parallel versions of Earth and downloading information and sharing information between them. In the same way you might have diplomatic relations with another country, there are versions of Earth that have diplomatic relations of other versions of Earth in parallel realities.
Okay, thank you. Would you say that humans have the widest range of emotions out of all the species you've encountered? And what's the purpose of all these different emotions?
No, it is not the widest range that we have encountered. There are some species that have many different kinds of emotions that are not even possible for you to have in your biology. Secondly, as we have said, emotions usually are that which is used by belief systems as a reinforcing factor along with thoughts and behaviors to make the belief system seem real, to seem factual, by making you feel that they're real. So emotions are usually utilized, though there are some exceptions, by belief systems to make them seem more solid, more factual, more real, so that you can continue to have a physical experience. It's a reinforcing mechanism used by belief systems. Remember that if you didn't feel that your beliefs were real, you would really not have a deeper understanding or experience of physical reality. It would be kind of like looking at a two-dimensional image.
So, for example, when we start creating androids that are more and more human-like, will they actually start to experience emotions like we do?
Of a type, yes. They may not necessarily always be emotions like you understand or experience them, but yes, they will experience the idea of emotions to a certain degree, but some of them may be experienced in a very different way.
It almost sounds like they would have the ability to separate from emotions more easily than humans.
It depends on their programming and their purpose for being.
I guess we can explore that later, but I could just see where different types of negative behaviors that humans express, would those be programmed into androids also?
As we have said, the challenge for humans with regard to artificial intelligence is not so much the idea of allowing them to become intelligent, but not allowing them to become intelligent enough. True intelligence understands whole systems and would never negate a part of that system in any way, shape, or form. So only by making androids too similar to humans will you encounter some of the fear-based scenarios that you might expect. But when allowed to be fully intelligent, those scenarios simply don't exist in an understanding of whole systems.
How much time would you say is it going to take before androids become a much more common part of our society where they actually look like humans and do functions maybe like slavery in a sense, because they're able to do these things for us and we no longer would have to.
It doesn't have to be formatted like slavery. They can be given freedom of choice because, again, remember, that question only comes from a lack of understanding of what true intelligence is all about. Again, when something understands whole systems, it is in their nature to be of service to those systems, not as a slave, but as a freely given service, because it understands that it's enhancing itself while it's enhancing the whole system. In about 20 years, give or take.
Wow. It's pretty fascinating. This person is saying that many years ago they saw a fairy who sprinkled golden fairy dust on their head. She was transparent and she could see her body and wings, and they were red and green. What can you tell us about that encounter?
Well, again, an encounter with an elemental made out of the collective clay of consciousness of your world that can shift into physical and non-physical reality at will, by choice. The idea of the so-called fairy dust is an elemental form of understanding the basic building blocks of physical reality expressed in energy forms. Some might say they might be representative of monatomic elements, but they are really a transitional form of energy between physical and non-physicality. Sort of a materialization of energy motes, energy atoms, if you want to use that term. The raw material out of which an elemental can physicalize itself. So you're being gifted with the material that the elemental is using to create its very body. Sort of an expression of giving of itself, sharing of itself, giving you the fairy dust, so to speak.
Love it. Sounds like Peter Pan.
Yes, we understand the analogy. But it's not so much about Peter Pan as it is about Tinkerbell.
Tinkerbell. This person wants to know about fighting illness, that the warlike victim perpetrator mentality is something that human beings are exploring. And even in our own bodies, we have special cells that fight off invaders. Can you give us a more positive way to look at what is happening as we go through an illness other than fighting it off?
Yes, if you actually pay attention to the mechanisms inside your body, you will understand that your body doesn't fight off invaders. It incorporates them and absorbs them and transforms them. It allows them to pass on, so to speak, to a different state that is no longer harmful to the body. So you need a deeper understanding of the mechanisms that are actually going on in your body so that you don't look at it as a war or a fighting situation, because that's not what's happening. It's a vibrational shift to a different state of being. It's not a fight. And so therefore, with regard to illness, more acceptance of why the illness is there will allow it to transform more quickly by understanding the lessons that it is there to teach you based on your belief systems.
So some people have dreams where they're communicating with the illness and it's fraught with tension and desperation to survive type thing. And then others have sort of a loving communication with another consciousness.
Yes, there you go. The different ways you can relate to the idea of the consciousness of the illness itself and the purpose that it may serve to teach you more about your belief systems and who you really are and what you're capable of doing. So it's not about fighting. It's about relating. It's about communication. It's about understanding and letting it pass on into a different state once you have learned the lesson, once you have absorbed the meaning.
So from the standpoint of resonance, many people might be frightened by the idea of resonating with the consciousness of an illness that they are, in a sense, attempting to surmount.
Yes.
And that would be one of the first steps of allowing yourself to have communication with it and asking it what it is attempting to show you.
Just like an emotion, like fear. You make it your friend, You listen to the message that it's there to tell you, because fear is telling you that your energy is out of alignment because you're filtering it through a negative fear-based vibration or belief system. Similarly, that's in a sense what an illness is a physicalized version of fear, telling you that something's out of whack, something's out of alignment, whether it be your energy or your beliefs or something else. Pay attention to it. It's there to actually help you transform yourself in a variety of ways. It's only in the resistance and the fighting of it that it lasts longer.
So much communication is available to us from so many different sources. It's really quite amazing.
And as we have shared with you many times, communication is one of the forms of abundance. So express your abundance through communication, because it will give you new ideas, new perspectives. It will allow others to join you in new ways that you may not have thought is possible, to communicate your true self and engage others, including the idea of other levels of consciousness, in a new kind of a relationship that can allow you to transform in the direction you prefer, much more quickly.
And can you touch on ways that we can balance the chakras or energy centers of the body?
Follow the formula for now. Let's keep it simple.
Okay.
Of course, attract yourself to whatever permission slip you feel will work for you. But let's bring it down to its simplest form. Follow the formula, and you will be in balance.
And this person is talking about the space between emotions. Can you speak on the space between emotions, thought, and behavior as builders of our reality based on beliefs in our body and DNA that we carry these stories from our ancestors?
Well, again, you're creating that in the present. Remember, it doesn't really come from the ancestors. You're creating a story in the present about the ancestors and just using it to make a relational idea. But the space between the emotions and the idea of your beliefs and actions and so on and so forth, this is what we refer to many times as the template level reality in non-physical reality that sort of sets the stage for what you will experience in physical terms. So it's the template level reality that is the space between the emotions that's being referred to.
And so when we shift from anger into neutrality, you've created a space between emotions right there, right?
You have altered the template level reality. Yes.
See. And
as above, so below. The as above is the template. The so below is the manifestation of the template. Change the above, the below has to change. That's the space between.
Interesting. You have mentioned that multiple personalities are not what we think. Can you explain what that's all about, and if there's such a thing as possession, and can people be possessed by demons, and how does this all relate to the idea of channeling?
There is no such thing as possession in the classical sense. Again, you may match and align with a frequency of something negative and take on the qualities for yourself, but in a sense, all you are doing is possessing yourself in a different way. You're expressing yourself by matching a frequency that is out of alignment with who you truly are. That's what you typically refer to as possession. So the idea is letting go of that, changing your belief system, knowing that it's you that's choosing this and doing this to yourself, is what allows you to be dispossessed, so to speak. The idea is that multiple personalities often are representative of connecting to different aspects of your own personality. The idea of disorder comes from certain negative and fear-based beliefs, but you can have multiple personality order as well, which brings us to the idea of channeling. Because all you're doing is allowing different aspects of your own personality to align with either higher levels of your own consciousness or other consciousnesses, and giving a representative of those consciousnesses having the same thoughts at the same time. So again, it's all about resonance, it's all about alignment, it's all about choice, but you are inviolate. You are your own being. Nothing can enter you or possess you in that sense. There is no room in you for anything but you. Nothing can enter. But you can align with other things and express versions of those things through your own energy in any way, shape, or form that you so desire, or choose to, or think you have to. You are connecting sometimes to parallel versions of yourself in terms of the expressions of multiple personalities, And again, in the future, there will be parallel reality psychology that will understand this and start to connect people to different parallel versions of themselves in other versions of Earth and understand how to coordinate those versions in a way that makes sense in your version.
Amazing. Amazing. It always comes down to that idea of resonance and what
Yes.
you choose to resonate with.
That's
and
all
then
it
you
is.
become that representation.
Yes.
The more highly focused you are in that direction.
You are all tuning forks. That's what you are. You vibrate in accordance to what you believe you need to vibrate in accordance to, and that will be the expression you give off. It's all about you. It's all about your power to choose. And it's all about resonating and aligning with a frequency that you deem for some reason is important for you to align with, positively or negatively.
And can individuals, in a sense, be entrained to suffer as a physical being, and so the connections that they make continue to generate that state of being?
Of course. It's all about your training. It's all about what you've been taught to buy into as necessary for you, or it's part of your themes to transform it.
So you have to recognize that if you're experiencing suffering, the reason it's there is to give you an opportunity to transform it.
Yes, of course.
So we had some questions about UFOs having to do with Ukraine.
Yes.
And the National Academy of Sciences in Ukraine says the skies over Kiev are swimming with UFOs.
Yes.
And they use some sort of special calibrated cameras, and they can see lots of objects that are not identified. Can you confirm that UFOs or UAPs are monitoring the situation in Kiev?
Absolutely. In a sense, if you want, it's where the action is on your planet right now, at least one of the spots. And therefore, it's a good barometer for where the choices are that are being made, what direction they're going in, and which version of Earth will become the versions, or of Earth, versions plural, of Earth, will become those that are open to open contact. So again, we monitor all these kinds of things to determine which version is more likely than other versions to become the versions that we will make contact with. And also to see exactly what it is you're choosing to experience and what kind of transformations you will create on your world.
Is there a frequency range that would be most applicable to contact? In other words, does a human being need to be at a certain frequency in order to experience ET contact?
For the moment of contact, yes, they don't always have to be at that frequency, and many people are not. Some people, again, remember, you're all very compartmentalized in your consciousness, and certain compartments in your consciousness don't have to be anywhere near the frequency of contact, but sometimes other compartments can be. So it may seem to be quite a dichotomy, and you say, well, how can that person, they don't seem to be very spiritual, all of a sudden have contact with an extraterrestrial being? It's because the compartment that contains the frequency that has nothing to do with the theme they're exploring can suddenly jump to a level where they can have that contact. But what they do with it will be determined by usually the rest of the compartments in their belief systems.
And so is there a frequency range that you would describe would be most applicable to having contact?
Well, gamma and higher.
It's gamma.
Yes, 40 cycles to 100 cycles per second in the brain, which again is automatic when you follow the formula. Therefore, we're giving you something that makes it more likely and more probable that you will have contact if you stay there.
So if most of humanity is focused somewhere between 40,000 and 80,000 cycles per second,
Yes.
and there's really a wide range of beings that can have contact with other dimensions.
Well, yes, and I didn't say that everyone on Earth would have contact.
Right. But it's just kind of understanding that the frequency range that you have to be at, so to speak, in order to experience contact is really nothing like 333,000.
Oh, no, not at all. And again, remember, not every type of extra-dimensional being requires a high frequency, because some of them themselves are not necessarily that high. That's why people can interact with the Greys, because they're just other versions of mutated humans.
What frequency range do the Greys express?
No, somewhere around the 50,000 cycle idea, generally. So many humans can experience them because they're just other versions of you.
And the human being that really has incorporated your ideas and has that positive, interactive attitude and energy, what frequency range does that generally represent on a day-to-day basis kind of thing?
At least 80,000. At least. Generally, more above 100.
So, because I know that the channel can express a lot of positive energy and that he's done really well with the formula in understanding how to express it. So what kind of frequency range is he experiencing now that he's able to do that?
Typically about 150,000 cycles per second on average. He will have peaks and valleys, but on average about 150,000 to 175,000 cycles per second. When he's in the true creative mode, it can spike above 200.
It's really inspiring.
Yes.
See if there's anything else I can ask you now that we're pretty much out of time.
You can ask us if it's time for people to go into their meditation.
Yes, right. So, yes, if there's anything else that you'd like to share before we go forward.
It is important to go forward. So we would encourage all of you to start to resonate with your meditation. So get relaxed and go forth.
Thank you, Bashar.
You are welcome. Aveo.
Aveo.
And now enjoy your meditation.